know. All right. Hey, students. Morning again. I was talking away and I didn't realize I'd muted myself. So yeah, guys, what do you guys remember about speech writing? We talked about the directed writing question, directed writing and all of that, but what do you remember about speech writing? What are 2 things you have to consider when before you even write a speech at the Bgcse level? Who can remember?
The audience.
Okay, that's 1. And what else? That was Aaliyah, right? Good job, Aaliyah.
Ashley.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I apologize from the depths of my soul, okay? Thank you, Ashley. All right, guys, so besides the audience, what else must you consider before you even write a speech? Come on, guys.
Purpose of writing the speech?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Who was that?
Now it's Aaliyah.
Okay, thank you, Aaliyah. Okay, yes. All right, so the purpose of writing the speech. Okay, so the purpose in the audience. And remember, we talked about the fact that there are a variety of reasons why someone would give a speech. And does anyone remember what a speech is? Not speech, but a speech. If you, what does a speech mean to you?
A speech is an official and usually formal verbal presentation meant to achieve a certain goal.
All right, thank you, Deborah. Absolutely. Okay, that's all a speech is, right? A speech is like an oral. You're speaking, usually in a formal setting, not always, because for example, people give a toast, like a wedding toast. That is a form of a speech. Like when the best man gets up and he says a few words about the bride and groom, maybe. All right. He may throw some jokes in there. That doesn't have to be like formal necessarily, right? But yeah, generally speaking, speeches are meant to be presented in like public places, all right? And they have a specific purpose in mind, okay? And the purpose usually is related to the audience. Audience is related to purpose, okay? All right, so let's go. All right, we're just going to briefly go over our objectives and directed writing. And then we're going to get to the real meat. Okay, so these are real objectives for today. Okay, by activating prior knowledge, students will be able to explain the importance of knowing your purpose and audience. So guys, why is it important to know your purpose and audience? Why is that important?
To know what type of tone you should use.
Excellent, Ashley, awesome. All right, okay, yes. So so that you use the appropriate tone, so that your speech, that you establish the correct kind of attitude in your speech. Okay. Should your speech be humorous? Should it be serious? Should it be like conversational? Should it be like formal, informal? Like you have to consider that. All right. And your audience kind of can determine the purpose of the speech, right? Because if you're speaking to your classmates about something, it could be like a presentation for class. If you're speaking in front of your coworkers, it could be a different thing altogether. If you're addressing like an entire school or an entire country, all right, your purpose or your tone can change. All right, now second objective is students will be able to distinguish relevant from irrelevant content as far as the directed writing question is concerned. All right. Yeah, and we kind of touched on this already. The directed writing question kind of tells you what information to include. And at this level, you should know that, and you should know when certain information and what information is important and what information is not important. Okay? For example, with the question we'll be looking at today, if the passage is telling you to talk about Evan is telling you to talk about Percy's background and Percy's personality traits. Why would you be giving information about Evan Scottman, who wrote the passage? Why would you be telling us that Evans was a teacher? Evans taught at a school called Madison High. Evans was from, I forget what state he was from, Minnesota or something like that, right? Why would you be talking about him if the question is asking you to write a tribute, the words of a tribute, a speech about Percy Cavill? So you have to know how to distinguish between what you need and what you don't need, okay? So after the teacher provides several examples, students will be able to create an outline for a tribute to Mr. Percy Cavill. I just left out a word there, okay? All right, so what is directed writing? We're gonna go over this quickly. Basically, directed writing involves you producing a piece of writing. You're being directed to write in a certain form or format, okay? And obviously, you have to do it in an engaging and purposeful way, all right? So you shouldn't be boring and like you're writing with a purpose, all right? And you need to, like we were just talking about it, you need to know what that purpose is, okay? And that should come through in the way you write, your tone, all right? Now, there are different forms. We talked about them. Who can remember some of the forms you may be directed to write in at the Bgcse level? Who can remember?
A letter.
Yes, letters. What else?
Journals.
Yes, journals. A speech, of course. Like that's like, and I said that's like one of the most common ones. What's another common one that hasn't been mentioned yet?
Article.
Yes, the article. Okay. Boom. All right. So yeah, and when you guys write these things, because Mrs. Dennis could tell you, they expect you to, like, for example, if they say to write an article, they expect you to have a headline. They usually give you the headline, I think, and so you should make it look like an article, right? Taking care of family affairs by Colin Cunningham, right? Tribune staff reporter, Guardian staff reporter, Eyewitness News staff reporter, and then you get into like the article. But since we're talking about speech writing, you have to begin a certain way. A speech is not an article. A speech is not a letter. A speech is not a journal entry. A speech is meant to be, it has life to it. Not saying that those other forms of writing don't, but definitely a speech is really different because like it's live. It's not meant to be read, it's meant to be heard. So you kind of have a speech has to have like kind of that dynamic energy behind it. You guys ever, because remember, for those of you that were in class this week, remember when we were talking about I asked you guys if you remember having people come to speak to you, to the school, to your grade level, right? Guest speakers. Can you remember the like good guest speakers who they were funny, like they involved you, they asked questions versus speakers who just talked and they were long and dry? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like they just get up and students, I've been working with children for many years, and I'm seeing trends that I don't like. You guys have to modify your behavior. Now, how do you modify your behavior? Well, I'll tell you. I actually created this acronym, M, manners. You must be mannerly students. O, organized. You must always ensure that you have your day planned out, and that not only your day, but that you organize your attitude, your behavior, students. D, okay? So is that a speech you would want to hear?
No.
I almost fall asleep just now.
Wow.
I was getting irritated.
All right. So see, okay. Someone said, Aaliyah said she was irritated. Okay. Yes. All right. So yeah. So when you write your speech, even though you're not going to read it for the examiner, right? You have to ensure that your speech is engaging. That was not an engaging speech. Like that, yeah, that was boring. Okay? Okay. So yeah, other forms. All right, so we have letters, formal and informal, reports, informative, investigative. Now reports they're not common. Accounts, newspaper or magazine articles, very common. Speeches, even more common. And journal or diary entries. But letters are pretty common as well. Okay? So, speech criteria, we look at these areas. Just a reminder, your ability to select appropriate, relevant information. We were talking about that a few minutes ago. Your ability to develop ideas clearly and logically. Okay? And in order to do that, you have to plan, you have to outline things so that your thing is organized properly in a logical way. All right? Use a suitable tone. All right? I don't remember if it was Ashley or Leah that said that, but yes. And this depends on the task. And use accurate language. And you know this because this is English, right? So your sentence structure should be good. You should be using sophisticated vocabulary words, nice adjectives. You should watch your spelling. Make sure that your sentences have the proper end marks. If you're using a rhetorical question, make sure you put a question mark at the end of it, not a full stop. You have your commas where they should be. All right? You're using techniques. All right, where needed. Okay? Transitional words. And you know your verb and your verbs and nouns agree. You're using the right tense, verb tense, right? Okay, so those are the 4 areas, right? Content, appropriate information, development of ideas, and using a suitable tone, and then using, of course, accurate language to convey all of the above. Okay. All right, and we already said that it's marked out of 14 to 16 points. All right. Okay, we talked about purpose and audience, so we're going to breeze through this. Okay, to determine the purpose of your speech, ask yourself why you're writing it. Is the speech a touching tribute for someone who recently died, for someone who's still alive? Are you being directed to address a group of primary or high school students or the entire Bahamas? Is your goal to persuade, entertain, or inform your listeners? Perhaps you're meant to do all 3. Yeah. Beyond your purpose, consider your audience. Who is this for? Students? Is it for like the nation? Is it like when Martin Luther King was at the Lincoln Memorial, the Lincoln Monument, sorry, and he gave a speech talking about his dream for racial equality and the end of segregation, because the goal of his speech was to persuade everyone under his voice to fight for the end of segregation and the end of racism. That was his purpose, and the audience was the nation of the United States and even beyond that. Okay? All right, are you addressing friends or family members, so on and so forth? Okay? Writing the speech. Now you should outline your speech. You should look for 7 to 8 content points. All right? Now for the speech you guys will be writing for Percy Cavill, the content points relate mostly to his character traits. Okay? All right. Okay, so this is a sample introduction. Okay, look at it. It says, good morning, friends and family. My name is Mr. Evans Cotman, and I am honored to be here today in your presence. Although I only knew Mr. Percy Cavill for a few weeks, he made an indelible impact on my life. So I am here today to pay tribute to a unique individual. And I think I showed you guys this already. All right, now this is a good way to introduce your speech. I can imagine myself, if I'm Evans Cotman, I can imagine myself stepping up to the pulpit or stepping up to wherever and opening my speech with this. All right? And notice in my speech, I introduce myself, I acknowledge my audience, and I say why I'm there. Okay? Which is what your introduction should do. And guys, I think I uploaded this PowerPoint to Google Classroom. So you can check there for it. I also uploaded, it's also in the boys and girls group. Okay, so you can go through it at your leisure when the time comes to do the work. I also pasted the passage in the main chat, and it should also be in the girls and boys group. The Evans Cotman, the Percy Cavill passage. Okay, Now you should, moving on. Now we're going to get into content soon. Okay, after you have identified your audience, stated your purpose, and identified yourself, it's time to get to the meat of your speech. All right, this is where you use the content points you jotted down beforehand. You must develop these points into sentences that contain examples and support for each point. For example, based on the content of the passage, you may be directed to write a tribute for a person/character who passed away in the passage. All right, I think I have an example here. Usually you'll be required to talk about that person's character's background and their personality or character traits. Now, guys, when we talk about background, what are we talking about? What does background mean?
Basically, historical information about the person.
Yes, basically information about the person. So, for example, someone give me the name of a rapper who's very hot right now, like everyone seems to like the Baby, the Baby, or Rod Wave, like who? Or is it still Young Boy? Young Boy still is like he's still the bee's knees right now.
It's the Baby.
Come on, guys, I just need an example. Can someone give me an example of one of the hot young rappers right now? It could be female too, like City Girls. What's the name of that other girl? Not
Megan.
Megan Thee Stallion, right? All right. Right. So, anyone want to tell me about their favorite rapper who's hot right now? Give me their background. Tell me about where they came from, like how they live, their hood, some things they experienced in their lives before they got famous. Anyone want to do that for me? Rod the GOAT, no cap. Okay, Camille says Rod is the greatest of all time. Camille, man, listen, nothing personal, but I can't agree with that. But I feel you. Okay, I hear you. Sorry, I hear you. All right, come on, guys. All right, can someone tell me about any rapper that they admire? Give me some background on that person.
Come on, guys, this is so easy.
Okay, Onika, not the Nicki. Nicki Minaj, born in Trinidad, raised in New York. Okay.
Nikki?
Nicki, what else? What are some other things about her background? Was she rich? Was she poor? Okay. Say, Shante, this is your time to shine with Cardi. Hold on now. Cardi used to be, don't go too deep in a background, please. All right. But yeah, okay. Aaliyah, what are some things about Nicki? Did she grow up poor? Like, was she middle class? Did she always want to be a rapper? I think she used to work at like Chick-fil-A or something, right? And got fired, or was that Cardi B? One of them used to work at a McDonald's or something, and they got fired. I mean, guys, don't forget.
Red Lobster. And she wanted to be an actor, I think.
Who's that, Nicki?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right, Red Lobster. Their biscuits. Mrs. Dennis, I love their biscuits. Their biscuits are so good. Oh, man. Man, trust me, man. All right. Those biscuits are an experience.
Back. Morning.
Morning. Oh, you got kicked out?
We talking about Cardi B.
You can tell us a little bit about her background, Shante.
Yeah, so I look up to her because she don't care what people think of her. Like, she's a strong person. She don't, no matter what she had to go through, and she don't care if people judge her. You know, she used to be a stripper or whatever. Y'all me go deeper. You know, she took music classes in school. She didn't get to graduate, but she went a far way. You know, like she have a baby girl now. You know, she don't need no man in her life, but if she wants, she can get.
Okay, Shante, very detailed. I like that. So, guys, you see what Shante did? Well, Shante even talked about her personality. She didn't even stop with her background. So, yes, Shante, very good. Okay, I see why you admire her, but let's look at this example here, okay? This is an example of content going to work, right? Example, Percy was an independent person. I can clearly recall him lifting an automobile motor without requesting assistance, even though he was very ill. He even fainted immediately afterwards. That should be without. So guys, anyone see the personality trait I identified with Percy there? I'm not talking about his background. I'm talking about his personality right now, because that's the meat of the speech, right? The personality traits. You talk about the background, but most of your points will come from the personality traits, and you should aim for finding 7 to 8 of them with support. So what is the trait I identified here, guys? Who spelled Carlos Marlinus? Who what? What is that? Man, that must be an inside joke. I'm a boomer.
That's got to be me.
That's an actual name? Why would you do that to your child? I thought Calvin Cardoza's Brothers was bad. That's Snoop Dogg's name. What? Calvin Cardoza's Brothers. Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, you can't do much about the last name, but Jesus, I mean. So is Hennessy name really Hennessy? Who's Hennessy? Ivy's sister. She has a sister who also raps? No, her sister's in the fashion. Oh, no. Is her sister name really Hennessy?
I think so, you know. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I think that's her sister named Hennessy.
Wow.
And okay. Just like Hennessy to do.
Okay. All right. So yes. Okay. Anyway, right. So guys, what personality trait did I identify for Percy in this example here that's in bold?
He's independent.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Shante. I said he was independent. Did I give support for that?
That was Alicia.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't know it was Alicia.
I'm sorry. Now, did I support the fact that he was independent with information from the passage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did. And I did it, and I paraphrased it. Okay, because if you look at the passage, because I put it in the main chat, if you check the passage out, I can't remember where it was. I think this was toward the end of the passage. You will see that it's the same thing is there, it's just not worded like this. So it's not enough to pick out your content, support your content. You also, like I said earlier, you have to paraphrase your response. So when you're writing your tribute speech for Percy Cavill, when you talk about the traits, it should look like this, right? You mention the trait and you give support using your own words. But you have to have 7 to 8 traits, and you also have to have his background and accomplishments, things he accomplished. All right. And you should also have an introduction to your speech. And we looked at the introduction on the previous slide. You know, I'm here. My name is Evan Scottman, and I'm here I didn't know Percy for a long time, but he made an impact on me, and I'm here to, speak about him. All right. So your intro could be like this. You don't have to copy this, but it can be like this. And then you could start and then you talk about his background. Like Percy was from Sydney, Australia. When he was about 16 years old, he ran away from home and he stowed away on a ship, and he traveled around the world many times. He worked as a swimming instructor. You can say that and as far as accomplishments in his background go, he created the Australian crawl. He won trophies for swimming, medals for swimming. All right. So that's background. Those are accomplishments. All of this is in the passage, right? So the hardest part would be like the traits, because the passage isn't going to give you the traits. They're going to give you they're going to suggest traits. They're going to imply traits, right? So look at things they say about Percy, things that he does in the passage, things that he did in the passage, right? To determine the traits. Okay? Tips for identifying content. We're almost done. All right? One, all right, what is background information? This is information about someone's past. It is their personal history, including good and bad things they may have done. What are personality character traits? Personality / character traits are things that make you, you. The way you behave, think, and feel about certain things all come together to make up your personality. We must use specific, sophisticated adjectives to describe personality. The 2010 passage, the same passage that's in the chat, Percy Cavill, okay, has many implications. And all implications, all that word means are suggestions. The word means suggestions or hints, right? About Percy's personality traits. The passage will not simply say Percy is courageous or friendly. It is your job to read between what is explicitly stated in order to arrive at certain conclusions. Okay? Luckily, the comprehension passage will give you examples of Percy's behaviors and feelings about certain things. Okay? All right, tips for identifying content continue. Look at the following excerpt from the 2010 passage. About dark, I met Cavill and Mr. Lightburn and we went aboard. This is Evans writing now, okay? I slept soundly until, and this was taken directly from the passage, this is not paraphrased, until next morning when I awoke to find Cavill leaning over me grinning. I've got something to show you, he said, and held up a flying fish. I don't sleep well, so I was on deck about 4 this morning and saw a school of them fly out from under the bow. I jumped overboard and caught this one. Then I grabbed the dinghy we are towing as it passed and climbed back overboard. Now, grade 12, look at that. What kind of word, what adjective would you use to describe someone who would do something like that? Because this is, listen, look at what Percy said he did. What word would you use to describe someone who would do something like that?
Crazy. Courageous.
All right, someone says courageous, crazy. Anyone else?
Fearful.
Fearful? Or you mean fearless?
Fearless, sorry.
Okay. All right, what else? Anyone else? Okay, so I got fearless, we got crazy, we got courageous. All right, so let's see. All right, what word can be used to describe someone who would do something like this? Spontaneous, crazy, wild, unusual, unpredictable, and many other adjectives that kind of fit there can all work in this context. When including this trait in your speech, you can write something like this. I can remember when Percy dove into the sea in the middle of the night to catch a flying fish. He was a spontaneous man through and through. Okay? Someone said low-key suicidal because one like me, I can't swim. What the hell? All right, well, Percy was an excellent swimmer, right? But I still say like diving into the black ocean at 4 a.m. in the morning is insanity for me. That's unusual behavior. That's okay. So now notice that I have underlined the trait here, spontaneous. And did I support the trait?
Yes, sir.
I did. Did I paraphrase this, or is it just like it's, because notice, remember I said the quote above is directly from the passage. Did I paraphrase it, or did I just copy or lift from the passage directly? The quote's right there, guys. Look at the quote at the top of the slide, and then look at what I wrote. Did I paraphrase it, or did I just lift the information?
You paraphrased it.
Yeah, I did. I did my best. I tried to paraphrase it, okay? And now remember, that's what you should do. Okay, so that's already 2 traits. Man, the English teachers at CC are so generous, spontaneous, and independent. Wow. Okay, plus you have a way to introduce your speech. Man, Mr. Tucson, Mrs. Dennis, could it get any better? I don't think it could get any better. But wait, there's more, right? Okay, so notice that the implied trait has been identified and the support is for it is paraphrased information from the passage. Boom, mind blown. Okay, so ending the Bgcse speech. If the speech is a tribute for a deceased person, you should end it in a touching, reflective way. Example, despite our many differences, Percy became a close friend of mine. I admired his passion for life and his positive attitude. He helped to teach me that life is not about how many things you have. Rather, it is about what you do with what you do have. To his family and other close friends, I thank you for this opportunity. Rest in power, Percy. We love you, but Jesus loves you best. I can't believe I wrote that for real. What a sick dread.
This actually, I mean, it's really a good closing note.
Yeah.
On a speech.
Okay. So note, if the speech serves another purpose and a different audience, the tone should be different. You may end the speech with a warning, a call to action, or gentle words of encouragement. It all depends on what the passage is about and the content the directive writing question demands if you instructed. What demands if you instructed? Okay, guys, remember, I was writing this when I was half asleep. Sorry. Okay, I have to make corrections to this. Okay. The end. Okay, guys. So let me get the question while one of my wonderful colleagues gets the attendance link. All right. So Adobe Acrobat. That's what I'm supposed to do. Right. Okay, guys. So I'm going to copy and paste the question in the chat, and of course, Mrs. Dennis, Mr. Tucson, and Mrs. Toot will do the same. They'll also if guys, you can, I guess, paste, because the passage is pasted in the Teams chat. You can paste that in on a Word document, or you can just paste it directly into the Google Classroom and then put the question in the instructions or whatever. That's what I'm going to do. All right, guys. So just give me a minute to pull the question up so I can copy and paste it. All right. I thought I had the question in the presentation, but I did not. All right, but that's okay. Oh, it's not letting me copy. Why? Oh, okay. Now I can do it. Driving around town with the girl I love. All right, there we go, guys. This is the question. Okay, and it's worth only 16 points, guys. 16 points. And don't have a heart attack when you see 400 words, because you should read to understand. All right, think about what you're reading. It says no more than 400 words, so no, you don't have to write 400 words. Okay, so imagine you are Evans Cotman. Write the words of the speech you gave in tribute to Cavell after his death. Be sure to include details about Cavell's background and discuss at length different aspects of his personality, telling how these character traits were revealed in his personal life. Your speech should be no more than 400 words. Okay, guys, so this is what you will be doing. Mrs. Dennis, Mr. Tucson, and Mrs. Toot will be uploading this to the Google Classroom. And you know how we do. You can email your response, or you can upload it to the Google Classroom directly. And guess what? I'm swamped personally. But this weekend, guess what? Guess no turning up. Just working. No road. Just work. Mr. Watkins gonna be marking and recording grades like crazy. So I don't want someone to be like, oh, you're like, Mr. Watkins, like, give you a week and we don't even know what our grades is, boy. All right, so this will be uploaded. It won't be due until next week, but you have to write a speech. You have the PowerPoint. I have taught you All right, and I feel like I did an okay job teaching you. Okay, the question is here. You have the passage. The question and the passage will be uploaded to Google Classroom today, along with the due date. All right, so that will be all, unless you guys have questions. Does anyone have questions? Remember, you're looking for background, accomplishments, and 7 to 8 content points, 7 to 8 personality traits with support. You have to have an introduction and a conclusion for your speech. All of that is in the slide, in the presentation. Does anyone have any questions? All right, does anyone have any comments? No? Well, they say silence gives consent, so I guess that's it. Students, have a great day. Continue to be productive.